Not so very far away from here, and not so long ago either, there lived a young man named Crythor, a plain and ordinary man, save for his great love of fiddle playing, for which he had been blessed with an unrivalled talent in all the surrounding country. And whenever the local farmers gathered in celebration, either at weddings or births, or when their summer hay was cut and safely stacked in their barns, well, that's when they would call him in. And he would play for them, and they would dance till their feet were sore. And they would shake his hand then, and slap his back, and say that he was always welcome on their farms. But outside of these wondrous days of ceremony and celebration, there was little call for Crythor and his fiddle, and he lived a lonely existence then, for he was not married and had no family of his own. And at such times he would take to walking in the steep hills thereabouts, and no amount of wind or rain or hail or snow would deter Crythor from this. For it was always then, when the weather was at its fiercest, and the summer seemed farthest away, that he would make up his very best fiddle tunes. Now on one of these occasions, deep in the bitter depths of winter, when Crythor was out walking as usual, a strange new melody came all at once into his mind. Well, he quickly unpacked his fiddle and began to pick out the notes as they came to him. It was a simple enough tune, yet so hauntingly beautiful that he found himself playing it over and over again. It was late in the evening when this happened, and Crythor was a long, long way from home. Yet he had not a single thought of returning, desiring only to play on. Well, it was then that a very strange thing happened. As I have said, Crythor was well absorbed with his playing, when quite suddenly he became aware of another fiddle playing, in strident and intricate harmony, or so it seemed to him then. Oh, he was amazed by this, and thought at first that the bitter weather had brought a madness down upon him, though the melody he played and the harmonies he seemed to hear were so evocatively and perfectly woven together that he played on, unable to resist, and in spite of the danger. And it was then, as Crythor relinquished himself unreservedly to the music, that a most splendid procession of elves and fairy folk appeared over the hill, led by their own wise and handsome queen, who was herself bowing gloriously upon a gleaming golden fiddle. And seeing and hearing this for himself, Crythor understood instantly, even amidst the great shock of such a meeting, that he had merely been accompanying her, and that the tune that had come, unexpectedly, and all at once to his mind that day, was really nothing more, though really nothing less, than a faint and distant echo of the unimaginably exquisite and incomparably beautiful music that the elfin queen now played for him in full. Such was the revelation of the night, and Crythor was gladdened at heart, and forsaking all else, he leapt into the magic dancing ring that the company now formed around their queen. Well, many will have no need of telling that time within such a ring is different from time without. And so it was for Crythor, though he knew this not, for it seemed to him so sure, as he revelled and raved, that only a single night was passing by. For above the silver moon still glimmered and shone in the sky, and the twinkling stars still clustered together in familiar and reassuring constellations. Oh, but it was not so, and not so either, when the wise and handsome elfin queen fixed him with her fathomlessly wild and welcoming green eyes, and drew him close into her arms, and kissed him long and sweet and hard, and claimed him for her own, right there and then, within that magic ring. It was then that night had appeared to turn to day, and winter into high summer, and Crythor had reeled in pleasure, and pledged his allegiance to her over and over again. And to honour her, he took his fiddle to his shoulder, and his bow to his trembling hand, and he played like he had never played before. Now what happened next happened innocently enough, and purely by chance it seemed. Crythor had just finished playing, and was bowing at the feet of the elfin queen, when he thought of life outside the ring, and what a tale he would have to tell, and what fine and rousing music he would be able to play when next the summer weddings came around. But that was all it took, one fleeting thought of home, and the entire fairy troop, elfin queen and all, vanished away, and Crythor found himself all alone once more on the bleak winter hillside, with naught but his fiddle and his memories for consolation. Well, Crythor very quickly became aware, when first he set foot in his village, that infinitely more time had passed than he had till then assumed. No one knew him in the village, see, nor in the surrounding countryside either, and his own cottage was now occupied by strangers, who said that their family had lived there for 3 generations. It was then that the realization came upon him, and he turned away from those folk who were not keen to welcome him in, and he made his way into the wide world, more alone than ever before. And there he lived the life of a minstrel, wandering aimlessly from village to village, and from town to town. And always he would tell the story of the wise and handsome elfin queen, and always he would play as he had heard her play. well, no one really knows for sure what became of Crythor after that. But some will have it that many, many years later he returned as an old man to the hills to search for the elfin queen, but that he perished and died alone as he had lived in the deep snowdrifts that covered the hills that year. Yet others will insist that he found her, or that she found him, and that she carried him away far beneath the hills to the hidden otherworld, where still he lives as a young man once again, and still he plays in service of that queen. So if you should ever go walking in the steep hills thereabouts, and if a hauntingly beautiful melody should come all at once into your mind, remember Crythor and beware.